folks, it is TIJ Gaming and welcome to the final episode of the Neil Robertson Pro career for Season 3. Today, it is time to go back, as we have done for the previous two seasons, and review what has gone on throughout the season. Now, luckily, for you guys who have only watched this season as opposed to the previous two seasons, we have a spreadsheet which I've kept up to date since the first game I've played as Snooker 19 of all of the results we've had in each and every season, so that at the end of every season we can go back and review what has happened. It is fair to say I wasn't expected to make this video yet. It was quite unbelievable going out to Ronnie O'Sullivan after being 13-12 up. Just check we're recording. I think we are. Yeah, okay. Are we recording? Yes, we are. That's sad. I didn't want to start and then not be recording. I don't use OBS very often now, so I'm a bit rusty with the recording software. But you guys have not got to worry about that at all. But yeah, I did not expect to go out of the World Championships that early on. But it's happened now. The season's over. We can't do too much about it. But you'll hear my more detailed verdict, if you like, on the World Championships a little bit later on. But first, we're going to discuss the start of the season. So we started the season fairly well, to be quite honest. If you have a look, we have 6 tournaments where we got to the last 16 or better, which I think is pretty good actually. In the first tournament of the year, the Riga Masters, we've never done too well at the Riga Masters, to be quite honest. In Season 2 we went out at the last 16, and in Season 1, to be fair, it was our first match, and we went out to Rory... Sorry, it was our second match even, we went out to Rory McLeod in the first round. But we've never done too well in the Riga Masters, to be quite honest, and that trend continued this year. In the first episode we played against Kyron Wilson in a best of 5. We lost against him by 3 frames to 1. It's a bit of a shame really to start the season in that way, but you know, these things happen, you can't really do too much about it. And what I have noticed is I haven't actually updated the dates, column K, since the first episode. Oh well, doesn't really matter. We'll try and work our way through. But in the second tournament, it went a lot better for us, to be quite honest. We got all the way to the quarter-final, which is pretty decent, actually. Just a bit of a note that Mark Williams won that first event. Now, Mark Williams, his last tournament win before that, looks like it was the Coral Players Championship, and then before that, I think it was Season 1. So, that first tournament of the season, yeah, Coral Players Championship in Season 1 as well. So that first tournament win of Season 1 was to be something that started a bit of a run for Mark Williams of getting some good wins in the season. But Mark Selby won the second event. Again, it was a year of marks. If you look at all these events down to the International Championship, apart from the one we won, it was all won by a person called Mark. Whether it was Alan Selby, I was going to go Albie then as a cross between Alan and Selby, but either Alan, Selby or Williams. But just keep that in mind about Mark Williams winning that first event of the season. And then Mark Selby won the Paul Hunter Classic. We got to the quarter-final of the Paul Hunter Classic, and crucially, in the last 16, we avenged what happened in Season 2. We lost to Ronnie O'Sullivan in the last 16 of the World Championship in Season 2. I wonder if that happened again. And we managed to avenge that. We beat him in Episode 2. We got our own back straight away. Of course, the Paul Hunter Classic is nowhere near the magnitude of the World Championship. We got some credibility back in the rivalry stakes, but unfortunately we went out in the quarter-final to Ding Junhui. But it was a decent match. Again, the best of 5, anything can happen really. So a decent start to the season. That continued going into the 6 Reds World Championship. We had a group stage, Joe Perry, Robbie Williams and Lucas Kleckers. That really doesn't feel like that long ago, to be honest, but we're talking about 5 months ago now we played those matches. And I remember we started against Joe Perry, we won 3-0, and then the crazy thing was, against the 2 players that were quite lowly ranked, we struggled to beat them, but we beat them all. Set up a last 16 encounter against Dave Gilbert, beat him by 4 frames to 3. I think we'd only played him once before that. Let me get my other sheet up, all seasons detailed. It's all very fancy, this spreadsheet is. If we look at David Gilbert, we only played him once before that. Yeah, we played him in the Players Championship the season before and beat him. So we'd only played Dave Gilbert once before we played him in that match. But we beat him and then went out. You know, I mock Jack Lazowski, but we were whooped by him in the quarterfinal. We lost to him by 4 frames to 1. And then finally, we got a really good tournament win. We won the Shanghai Masters. A fantastic effort, really. And we had to come through the last 24. I can't remember why. Was it because I think we dropped out of the top 8 by this point, so we had to play in that preliminary round, and we beat Fan Zhenghe, no surprise really, by 6 frames to 0. The last 16 though was a best of 11. Again, this was an event where we played full length matches, so we beat Ding Junhui. It was close in the end, to be honest, 6 frames to 4. And then Mark Allen, we really did well against Mark Allen. Mark Allen's a player a little bit like Luca Brissell. Either we whoop him or he does the same back. We don't have many close games against Mark Allen, apart from the one in the World Championship in Season 1. The World Championship keeps coming up where we lost again in a decider. Terrible, isn't it? But we had probably one of our best games ever I've played on Snooker 19 against Mark Williams in the semi-final of the Shanghai Masters, and we beat him by 10 frames to 9 in that deciding frame, and that was cracking snooker. I really enjoyed that, and if you haven't watched that one, I recommend you do. I know the result's been spoiled for you now, but it was a really good one, and those were episodes 11, 12 and 13. Again, if you want to go back and watch any of these episodes, they're all in the playlist, and you can see in column J what episodes they are. But the final was probably the easiest match we played in the whole thing, to be honest. It was a best of 21 against Judd Trump. We got it all finished within 15 frames. And if you remember, in Season 2, we played Mark Selby in the final of the Shanghai Masters, and it was a disaster, to be honest. We had the whole saving glitch. Ugh, don't even get me started on that. And yeah, Mark Selby beat us by 11 frames to 6 in the end. So it was really nice to get our own back, and it was a brilliant win against Judd Trump. And that good form, to be honest, continued for 2 tournaments, the China Championship and the European Masters. We got to the semi-final of both. It's fair to say in probably both events, really, that we got a decent look at the draw. We played Ryan Day, Stuart Bingham and Stephen Maguire in 3 consecutive rounds in the China Championship, which they're good players, but to get to the quarter-final and only face Maguire was a good draw. And I think to face Ding Junhui in the semi-final was a good draw, to be honest. But again, much like the Palmer Classic, he beat us in the semi-final, setting up a final against Mark Selby, and he went and won his 2nd event of the season. But we actually went out to the winner in the European Masters. We went out to Mark Williams. We got through the first 3 rounds with no real surprises. We beat Mark Allen again, much like the Shanghai Masters game. It was a fairly simple win. Beat Luca Brissell, but then went out to Mark Williams, and Mark Williams won that event. He also won the English Open. So when we get to the English Open, Mark Williams won 3 events of the year, Mark Selby 2. If we focus on ranking events, obviously, there was only 5 ranking events up to then. Bear in mind, actually, that's a good point, we have got the 2 other events, Yushan and the Indian Open that we didn't play in. Ding actually won that Yushan World Open, and Mark Allen won the Indian Open. So add those 2, to be fair, there were 7 ranking events then up to the English Open. For some reason we didn't play in those 2, and I don't know why we didn't, but we definitely will play in both of those events next season. But the English Open can be only described as a blip. We played best of 3 short matches to get through those first 2 rounds. Beat Li Yuan by 2 frames to 0. A very unmemorable match. I can't really remember anything about that. But I also remember, well, I remember a lot more than Li Yuan's match, losing to Mark Joyce in the last 64. Much like the Riga Masters, the English Open is a tournament we have terrible luck at. We lost in the last 64 the season before to Alan McManus, Angles McManus, and in Season 1 we went out in the last 32. So much like the Riga Masters, just some events at the World Championship that we just seem to have a jinx at, and the English Open is one of those. Again, Mark Williams winning that event, that was a big one. The Oppo International Championship, we were looking, of course, to make sure we retained our prize money from getting to the final that year in Season 1. We lost to Judd Trump in the final in Season 1, but in Season 3, the same didn't happen, unfortunately. We beat Jordan Brown, Rory McLeod, Graham Dott and John Higgins. That was a really tough draw. Graham Dott followed by John Higgins, really tough, but we beat both of them before going out to the pistol, Mark Allen, in the quarter-final. And he won the event. I'll tell you what, I think actually Mark Allen was probably the form man at the start of the season, if you look at it, winning the Indian Open, 6 Reds, Oppos, and he won the Palmer Classic as well. So a very good start to the season for Mark Allen. But we played him in 2 consecutive matches in the International Championship and then the Champion of Champions. Again, another event that we've not done too well in, but luckily have participated in every year because we've won at least 1 ranking event every season, which we'll come on to in a little while. But yeah, the Champion of Champions, we went out to Mark Allen. That was pretty short-lived. And then we went on to the 2nd Home Nations event of the year before, as you can see, UK's and Scottish after that. And Ronnie O'Sullivan was the man we faced in the last 16. This was the first tournament that we decided to adopt long matches as the norm. I was going to play long matches for all of the Home Nations events and probably the Dapperbet Masters, and then decide after that whether to go to long matches. But after this, we played long matches till the end of the season. But Ronnie O'Sullivan came back to haunt us again. We went out in the last 16 of the Northern Islands to Ronnie O'Sullivan by 4 frames to 2. I remember that match quite well because we just weren't on the ball that day, and Ronnie took the chances. And actually, Ronnie went and won the tournament. Now, that was Ronnie's first tournament win for a long, long time. He's won 4 tournaments in all. He went and won Well, he didn't win anything actually after the Northern Islands in Season 3, but won the Champion of Champions, German Masters and Welsh Open in Season 1. But in Season 3, well, it took him 2 years, didn't it, to win a tournament after that, which is quite amazing. Again, if there's any lag or anything in the video, I do apologise. Then we went on to the third Home Nations event of the season. The UK's, again, playing long matches. And again, Mark Allen, he's one of those players, and I said, and here's all the evidence to show it, he either whoops us or we whoop him. We beat him by 6 frames to 1. Nearly a whitewash, I think. It was very nearly 6-0. It's amazing how all these memories start flooding back, isn't it? Even though this was like 3 or 4 months ago now. But again, Mark Williams winning the tournament. A big, big tournament win for Willow. But we went out to Barry Hawkins in the quarter-final. Quite nice, actually. We played the Hawk for the first time. And I think from memory there, we were 4-3 up against Barry Hawkins. In a good position. It was a close match, but Barry Hawkins obviously went and won 3 in a row. And that put him through fairly comfortably. But the highlight of our season, I think, after that Shanghai Masters was another final win against Judd Trump. In Season 1, we won the Scottish Open, and much like the International Championship, we were trying to recoup that prize money, and we did in Season 3. I'm really happy about that. We went and won the Scottish Open, but my God, it was a tough draw. Joe Perry in the last 32, that's no slouch at all. John Higgins in the last 16, Willow in the quarterfinals, Mark Allen in the semi-finals. You're talking there, Mark Williams and Mark Allen, at the 2 big 4 men of the season. And we beat them 5-2 and 6-1 respectively. So we did really well, and we beat Judd Trump again in a final by 9 frames to 4 with 4 frames to spare. And it was a brilliant tournament. And unfortunately, it went a little bit downhill from there. But in the Dapperbet Masters, we played well again. We played Stuart Bingham and Sean Murphy and beat them fairly convincingly. And we got to the semi-final to play against the Wizard of Wishaw, John Higgins. And we got to the final of the Dapperbet Masters in both Season 1 and Season 2. In Season 1, Mark Allen won the event. In Season 2, we won the event over Mark Williams. In Season 3, unfortunately, we didn't get to the final. John Higgins beat us in a final frame decider. I believe what happened there, we got quite a decent... I think it was either a decent lead or we were 2-2 or something at the break. And I said I was going to go up to Pro Plus for the German Masters. And I think I made the move to Pro Plus expecting it to come at the next tournament. But actually, the Pro Plus took effect in that episode against John Higgins. So unfortunately, we started to drop some points, give John some chances, and of course he got through. But he succumbed to Mark Allen in the final, so he makes it 2 Masters wins in 3 years. And unfortunately, we didn't get to the final. I was a bit gutted, to be honest, to miss out on extending that run of getting to the final of the Dapperbet Masters. One of the big events of the season. And, it's an event we've fared well in, and to get to the semi-final is no mean feat, to be honest. I'm happy with that, to be honest. And then it started to unravel a little bit the second half of the season, to be quite honest. We got through our first 3 matches quite comfortably in the German Masters. We played against Kishan Irani, Chris Wakeling. Bear in mind, those 2 matches were played, I think, probably about the Champion of Champions time, because the qualifiers for this event are played very early on. But our first true representation on Pro Plus was a 3-1 win against Hossam Fafai. So that gave me a bit of confidence going into the next game against Mark Selby. And he beat us by 5 frames to 1. It was an absolute whooping. And it was basically, hello, welcome to Pro Plus. But Mark Williams went on again and won that event. A very, very strong season this has been for Mark Williams. And then we got to the Grand Prix. Judd Trump had not won an event since winning the World Championship the season before. So it was a big one for Judd Trump to win. We went out the first round against the Scotsman Anthony McGill by 4 frames to 2. Again, we started to really suffer on Pro Plus. We were struggling, but I said, no, we'll get it right at some point, and you'll see a little bit later that, to be fair, we did. Welsh Open, again, we struggled. We got through the first and second rounds. We needed deciders, though, against Reece Clark and Liam Highfield, but then we lost, unfortunately, the decider against Liu Hoishan in the last 32. To be fair, I think we were 3-1 down. We got it back to 3 each. We did pretty well to do that, but again, it doesn't mean anything, unfortunately, if you're losing the decider. And then the shootout, well, the shootout, to be honest, that's not representative at all. But we got through the first 2 rounds, funnily enough, meeting Reece Clark again in the first round, beating Wan Si-jun, and then losing out to Graham Dodd. But John Higgins actually won that event, which was quite nice, because he got to the final in Season 2. And unfortunately, well, fortunately for us, unfortunately for him, we beat him in the final. And John Higgins managed to get the victory there. And, well, nice to see, but not an event I'd expect John Higgins to win in real life. And then we went to the Coral Players Championship, obviously, again, for the second season in a row. We didn't qualify for the Tour Championship because we fell outside the top 8 in the rankings. But again, Players' Championship, we were absolutely demolished by Ronnie O'Sullivan, 4-0. And that event was over pretty quickly. There are some events which we just don't perform in, but the Gibraltar Open was a cracking event. We did really well in that and finally started to come into our own on the Pro Plus difficulty. We got through the first round against Jordan Brown, and then in the second round we got a really tough draw against Tepchire Unnu, and I thought, this could be a close one, so I decided to broadcast it. I wasn't really coming back till the last 16 usually, but I thought, no, we'll broadcast it. And that victory just gave us some confidence. We beat Martin Gould and David Gilbert in best of sevens by 4-1 respectively. So Dave Gilbert was our first big scalp, you can say, on the Pro Plus difficulty. And then we beat Luca Brissell. It was a tight decider. One of the matches against Brissell actually that's run quite close, but we beat him in the end, and that was crucial. We beat Mark Allen by 4-0 in the semi-final again. That was probably our biggest victory on Pro Plus yet. But we met John Higgins in the final, and much like in the Dafabet Masters, unfortunately, he beat us. He beat us by 4-2. And, yeah, he won the event. But not one of the biggies, but we got to the final of the Gibraltar Open last year, so we kept that up, which is quite nice. But for the first time, we decided to play in the Championship League, which I was quite happy with. I really enjoyed the Championship League. Maybe went on a bit too long. But just wanted the trophy at the end of the day, and as you can visibly see, we didn't get it. We had a really tough group: Ding, Maguire, Ali, Lazowski, Murphy, and Ronnie. Yikes. We won. How many of those matches did we win? We won 2 of those matches in the end. Christ almighty. Yes, I remember the Lazowski match. We were 2-0 up, and we lost 3-2. You can see where this bottling comes from, can't you? But I think after that first loss against Ding Junhui, to be honest, it's going to be pretty tricky to win it. But Mark Selby was the man who won the overall event. Again, 2 events to go till the end of the season. The 2 biggies, the China Open. We got through the first 3 rounds quite decently, to be honest, no real complaints. We played against Kyron Wilson in the last 16, beat him quite convincingly by 5-3. But, you know, we just crumbled in the quarterfinals, to be honest. Mark Williams just clinical, as you'd expect, and he won the quarterfinal. But crucially for Judd Trump, after what, in his standards, had been a bit of a substandard season, he went and won that event, pocketed $250,000, and stayed at the top of the rankings. But now the time has come to discuss the final event of the season. The Betfred World Championship. Mark Selby won it. He won the event in Season 1, so he keeps his £500,000 on the rankings, which I think he's very glad about. But in the first match, we played against Ryan Day. It ended our run of playing against Tom Ford in the first round. We played him in the first round for Season 1 and Season 2. And we didn't play well against Ryan Day. It was just a scrappy match, but we got through it. That was the main thing. And set up a rematch of last year's disaster against Ronnie O'Sullivan. Last year, we went out by 13-6 to Ronnie in the last 16. This year, we got to frame 17. We were leading by 12 frames to 5. You know, the bookmakers would have probably offered you 250 to 1 on Ronnie O'Sullivan winning it. I was saying in the video, I said, look, surely we're going to win one of these next 8. And to this day, I just can't describe how it happened or what happened. I think for the first few frames, we were a bit greedy. We thought, well, you know, we'll try and get a chance. I think you just get so focused, right, I need 1 frame, 1 chance. And we were so close, I think, in probably frame 20. We just needed the black and the red to clear up. And we missed a sitter of a black. We missed a sitter. We were on the red. Obviously, Ronnie goes and clears up from then. And after that, I can't think of a great opportunity we had until the last frame. And there was the 4 colours left: brown, blue, pink, and black. Or was it just pink and black? No, I think it was brown, blue, pink, and black. And he misses the brown, doesn't he? We pot the brown, pot the blue to the bottom pocket, and if we got a decent run on the pink, we could go for it straight to the centre pocket. We had a terrible run on the pink. We didn't hit the ball hard enough, and I'm here, the pink's there, and the pocket's right over there. So it's basically that sort of angle to get to the pocket, if you like. The pocket's here. It's that sort of angle to get it to the pocket. It's a horrible pot. And looking back, I thought, the ball's in the middle of the table. Why not just hit it hard enough, get it to the cushion? But we went for the attacking instinct, went to pot it. Obviously, we missed it. Ronnie potted it, set himself up on the black, and I'm still a bit speechless about it to this day, that we went out. We were 12-5 up. I mean, you know, there's bottling something and there's doing that. I don't think I'm ever going to live that one down, am I? But, you know, that was really gutting to go out again at the last 16 of the Worlds. I just think there's some events that you've just got to jinx. Really are some events where you've just got to jinx. But I think in Season 3, we highlighted that we've certainly got what it takes. If you look at Shanghai, China Championship, European Masters, I think even the UK, as you can say so, Scotland, the Masters, Gibraltar Open. You know, there's 7 events in there, and to be fair, you can kind of cast out maybe 4 or 5 because we were getting used to Pro Plus, where we played really well. And I think next year we've definitely got a chance. We're getting so close, aren't we? But we're just not quite delivering the goods where we should do. Consistency is the problem, isn't it? You know, we got all the way to the English Open without really suffering a scalp. Went out in the last 64, and then it was a bit rocky. But to be fair, we kept up that last 16, apart from the English Open, all the way up to the World Grand Prix. So, you know, that's not too bad. But to rise in the rankings, you know, getting past the last 16 is what you need. And we're just not doing that all too often. So before we end the video, I'm going to have a quick look at this screen here, which you can see, which I assembled this season. So you've not seen this screen before, I don't believe. But here's all the winners. So there's been 74 events, according to this. There might have been one more and somebody's not been counted in. But Mark Selby has won 19 events in his career mode. Quite incredible, though, if you look at the last 2 years. So that counts Riga Season 2 and onwards. Selby, Trump and Allen have got 10 events each. And crucially, Judd Trump has won 10 ranking events. So that'll help his ranking, obviously. He hasn't won an invitational event in the whole of the career mode, which is fascinating. Really is fascinating. Mark Selby's won 15 and 4 invitationals, but as you can see, his good Season 1 has propelled him to the top. Judd Trump only won 3 events in the first season. Mark Selby won 9. In fact, I can't believe that. I can't, but Mark Selby won 9 events in Season 1. That's staggering. Yushan, Paul Hunter, Indian Open, China Championship, English Open, Northern Ireland, UK's Grand Prix and Worlds. Wowzers. Wow. Wow. What a season that was for him. And John Higgins is up there, to be fair now. He's up to 10, so he's in the double digits. Mark Williams has had a good season. He's won 6 in the last 2 years. He only won 2 events in the first 2 seasons, so, you know, he's starting to do well as well. And if you look at the rankings from the last 2 years, we're looking all right, to be honest. That's not ordered, by the way, because Ronnie is higher in the overall rankings. So that's in tournament wins, and that's what these are all sorted by, if you know anything about cell references in Excel. But you know, we look pretty good in terms of our prize money. The problem is, if you look at the next column, our ranking money is significantly less than a lot of these people. We've won 400,000 of our 500 grand, 4/5 of the money in invitational events, which is marvellous. It doesn't help our ranking though, does it? So we enter a new season after this. I think I'm going to play all of the events, to be quite honest. You know, Riga Masters, Yushan. There might be a few I miss out on. I don't think I'm going to bother with Paul Hunter Classic again. It's 15,000 for the win. It just doesn't seem worth it. Six Reds, I'll decide at the time. I think Shanghai Masters, you've got to play. India, yes. Alright, let's just say what we're not going to play. So I don't think I'm going to bother with Paul Hunter. I think it's probably just the Paul Hunter Classic and possibly the Gibraltar Open. But I'll decide nearer the time. But I think next season we have just got to go for it. But obviously, you know, it's been a long season. Thank you all so much for your support. It's been amazing. And I did say it earlier in the channel update video I was done today, but this next season, I think at least, will be the last season of Snooker 19 Pro career. I hope there's going to be a new snooker game in 21, so that's what I'm hoping for and planning for with this, because as you can see, this season started at the end of March. We're at the end of September now, so these seasons take a long time, but I really think Season 4 should be a good one for us. So, yeah, thank you so much for your support. I will be back on Monday with the start of Season 4, with hopefully the last 32, 64 possibly, at the Riga Masters. And of course, all of this season, all of the events will be long matches. Get your teeth into that. Anyway, thank you for your support throughout the 3 seasons so far. We're back on Monday for the start of a new one. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys on Monday for the start of the new season. Goodbye for now.